really enjoy my weeks because every so often I get to engage with phenomenal women and we speak about purpose, parenting, the dynamics of life as a female. You're on Bump Love and you're most welcome. Thank you for consistently and faithfully joining us. My name is Beverley Nambozo Nsengiyumva and I'm here with the awesome Barbara Ichuma and the unrivaled Manuela Mulondo. When we get speaking, it's impossible to stop. But thank you for being part of us. You always listen, you share, you like. Don't stop there. Be part of the conversation. Right. We look in the mirrors every day, and sometimes we love what we see. Other times, we look in aghast. That can't be me. A big pimple, a big nose, my ears are out of shape. Barbara, when you look at yourself, what do you see and you think, this is God's creation? There must be something, or more than one thing.
My eyes.
Woo! Okay.
You know how they say that eyes are the gate into the soul?
Yes.
Right. Yes, I like to look at my eyes. I like to roll them. And when I look in the mirror, I'm happy when I look at my eyes.
Good, good. Good eyes, actually.
Yeah, you know, it's so funny that I've always wondered what it is about, like, your face. Like, there's such a brightness to it, like you're not light, you're not, you know, but there's,
the eyes.
Now that you say it, I'm just like, it's the eye. She has made them dance.
Make them dance. I like that. Manuela, I know
How
you
much
must have
time
something.
do we have?
Oh,
How much? She even said, oh, more than once. Please, she gave even call that one. No, but I actually absolutely love two parts of my body. One is a part that I just grew to like. I never ever thought it was something that was to like, which is my lips. Growing up, I was always teased, they're too pink, they're too what, they're too tiny, they're just in there. But one day I was playing a game where you kind of change up the kind of lips, body, and I was like, these lips are perfect for my face. In fact, they are more than perfect for my face. Actually, they are the most perfect thing on my face. I decided I absolutely loved my lips. But what I always loved was my legs. People, I have beautiful legs. You should see them. Mama. If it wasn't for God in my life, I don't know. I don't know. You would have all known because I would be vazy. I really, really have. Yeah, I have beautiful.
I like that. Own it. I like my hair because it's natural, it's in its afro shape, but then what people don't realize is that just a couple of years ago, I had a bald head.
Yes.
My hair grows with effortless energy almost. Right. And I see people struggling with hair. I never have to struggle with it, and it flourishes. Right. And it's an extension of God telling me, sometimes rest and allow me to work. Wow. Don't put your own energy into everything. Right. In the same way I like the gap in my teeth, which I used to hate because I was teased for it, until I read The Concubine. And I thought the gap in the teeth, just like Ihuoma, is an example, an embodiment of true African beauty. Oh yes, I now own this gap. Right. But really the hair is just God showing me, stop working so hard. Let me also work. And when he does, it flourishes. Awesome. That's what I love. Thank you for sharing. I'm going to be keener about your eyes. And now I know that you own every part of goodness that God has given you. May we extend our beautiful conversation into something we've all experienced. Right. And it's the readiness for marriage. Right. I've been married for over 15 years. I got married in 2007. Was I fully prepared? No way. I remember when my sister got married in 2018, I gave a speech on behalf of siblings, and I shared and said, Louise, there is no manual that will prepare you enough for marriage. When you get married, start writing your own manual. I believe that from the heart. I didn't have enough preparation, despite the counselor and having talks with my matron. Maybe your experience is different. What was yours like in preparation?
Did I feel like I was prepared for marriage? Absolutely not. I think it's kind of like motherhood. You you can't over-prepare, neither can you under-prepare. I just feel that I heard what people said about marriage, but it was one of those things that I needed to experience for myself. Otherwise, I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. It's like someone telling me, oh, by the way, do you know that you can carry out a heart surgery?
Yes.
I'm like, yeah, it's perfect. I can. They said, then they'll tell me all the rules of carrying out a heart surgery. Until they cut a body open, I see blood and faint.
Yes, the scalpel
because
starts.
they start talking, I'm just like, I'm out. So I feel like that's what marriage is like. It's like no matter how much people want to get you ready and prepare you, nobody really knows your husband.
Yes.
Nobody really knows you, the union between you and your husband. Nobody really knows the union, your union in a particular environment, such as his workplace vis-a-vis your workplace. Nobody knows how that dynamic will work. Nobody knows how, when the children come, what they will be like, who they will be like. And yes, I get that there are certain principles, but the way the principle of communication, for example, which is like the number one thing we've heard about marriage, communication, 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 communication. I heard it so much. And I always thought that I was communicating until I realized, no, it's not communication that's very important for my marriage. It is comprehension. Like, have we understood each other? Yes. Have we comprehended what the other person said? And therefore, did I communicate? You know, it's so much more when it now becomes the two of you. Yes. It's like how they say sex is wonderful and it's great. Until it's your turn, and then now
you had to go.
I had to go there, and then now you're going through the motions of how your bodies work together. Yes. Yeah, because sex is great and it's amazing, but your best position is not my best position. So we have to work through that. Yes. When should we have a quickie? When should we have long, winding, enjoyable? When should we start to tell each other that, excuse me, I need me some? You know, like, I just feel like you cannot be, no matter how much people want to help you through, no one can really prepare you for your own marriage. Yeah.
How about you? When should these preparations for marriage begin?
I think that from childhood. Because we prepare for marriage, we prepare principles, we prepare values. The difference between one person and the other is really values and principles. If we prepare our children to be kind, to be considerate, when Bianca stands up to make a cup of tea, remind her that, have you asked Blake if he would like a cup of tea as well? Before you go, and fry one sausage when the packet has 10. No, honestly, these things are happening. So I feel like it's through childhood to adulthood that we prepare, because we're preparing on principle level. We're preparing value systems. We're not waiting for, somebody said that they find it disturbing that verse in Corinthians about love is read during the marriage ceremony. It says, can we read this for our children? Can we read this for people before they get married, such that they can even recite it when they come? Why are we telling them about it the day they are walking into their marriage? Have we given them time to learn? Love is not jealous. Love is, you understand. So I feel like it's through childhood and adulthood that we're taught. How do you run a home? How do men look after women? They're watching their fathers, but they're watching you, but also tell them. He watches his dad carry the heavy load out of the car, and then, the son, he tells the son, come, let's carry. Let's leave mommy. Women, should be, treated like princesses or queens or whatever. It's through childhood and adulthood. Let's not wait until 2 months to do marital counseling, to send the child to the singer's house. There's too much information, but also there's a lot going on. There's wedding preparation. You're thinking of your dress, your what, I need to lose weight, my skin. How much is going to get in? Preparations should happen all through life, just so that those principles that we want people to learn, communication, when your children are communicating, when you feel like one is not comprehending or one is not listening to the other, teach that. So that we grow up with all these values and things that we need to learn. The basics, the principles, conflict resolution, can we teach it when children are growing so that they learn, as opposed to waiting to 2-3 weeks before and everybody is, yes.
Giving their opinion.
Yes, my experience really was or has been that nothing really prepares you for what's waiting for you.
Right? Like after all this nice answer, you're like, please.
Yes. And I think that's why the certificate is given before you start. Right. You see, for everything else, you study. For the surgeons, you go through lessons. You actually do the surgery, theory, and everything. Then you're awarded the certificate because now you can start. For marriage, you're given the certificate, and the car is pushed onto the road to test. Do the tires move? The rubber hits the road. So really, I feel like, no, I wasn't prepared. And it was like learning on the job, on-job training. Yes. Burn your fingers, learn. Go to Google, ask friends, guys, how is this done? How do you do this? And which makes it more difficult. Of course, however much you're trained, nothing, like you said, prepares you for the character you're going to live in. And I think because you're coming from 2 different backgrounds, 2 different homes, 2 different characters, it's a fire brewing at any given time. But principles, really. Principles is what governs and what helps.
And I think principles work if both of you are in that place where you've both learned the principles. Because like say for example where I have Blake and Bianca, even if I teach them conflict resolution, right? I don't know the kind of husband that Bianca is going to have.
Has he been taught?
She might, yes. Has he been taught? Oh, even then, is he like Blake? So because I only teach based on the information I have at that time. And the information I have right now is Blake and Bianca. So Bianca is fighting with a character like Blake. Blake is fighting with a character like Bianca. But he might not get a wife like Bianca. Bianca might not get a husband like Bianca. So even if I'm preparing them, I feel like they're going to reach, yes, I can teach them the principle, but something different might get at. Let me give you an example. I was raised in a home where you have to be kind and you have to hear other people's opinion. Like if you're fighting during conflict resolution, find out what are they feeling, what. And my brothers would share. Then I got married to a man who keeps quiet.
You pour your heart out?
I pour my heart, then I'm like, so what do you think? He's like, no, you've already decided in your heart. I said, no, I haven't decided. I am just sharing my thoughts and my opinion. He's like, yeah, I get it, but you've already... No!
Let's talk about
it. He's like, Manuela, men don't talk. I'm like, but my brothers talk. It's like, yeah, those are your brothers. I'm just like, what? You know, so even if my mom, I feel like, prepared me in that way, it didn't, work with. My mom raised us in a home where you put all the money on the table, then you remove rent, everybody sees how the pot has been reduced. Then you remove food, then you see how the pot has been reduced. So that before you even go to the market, start saying, Mommy, can I have a sweet? You remember what was on the table. Mr. Mlondo, what do you mean we are? Which pot? We're what pot? Whose pot? It's my responsibility to take care of you. I'm like, okay. So now I go and say, Banange, honey, I need this. He buys. And I say, honey, I need this. No, there is no money. How do I know? Who choose a side? When there's no money.
Which is most, I said like 80% of what
thank you very much. So even if my mom, in her opinion, that is like the best way to handle money. But that's not the best way for the husband that I got. So for me, like, when is the right age to prepare for marriage? There's no right age. Yes. You enter the deep end and you learn to swim. You see people swimming, you say, Bana, your stroke is so good. Show me. I do how? I fight the water how? Then you get it and you're like, hey, okay, but my legs are not working. Even the legs have learned. I'm not floating the way you are what? You're floating. Maybe it's because your husband is not like mine. Hey, who has a husband like mine? You look for that one. You say, so how is it go? I feel like when we enter the marriage thinking we should be prepared, it hits us like a ton of... If we just entered knowing we don't know, we don't get it, even after your singer has taught you how to whine and... Yeah, I had to go there. Even if your singer has taught you how to cook wonderful food. My husband doesn't like food with soup.
So you come and tie your own pombos.
The lessons I got on how to cook foods, soup with the portion. He doesn't want to know. Like, he likes dry food. Alas, now here I am in the marriage, quarreling with him because he doesn't like soup. It's like, you don't know how to cook food without soup. They're grumbling. Now I'm just like, had I just entered in and just, you know.
And asked, what do you like?
What do you like? How do you like? You know, so I felt like, had I entered in the marriage, I thought a husband's going to come, he's going to help me with what? He's not going to help me. Brian helps me wash dishes. Now I'm there, I'm like, I don't know what to do with myself. You should see him when he's washing dishes. I'm moving around in the kitchen, so uncomfortable, restless, wondering, does he have maybe an issue? And he's like, no, I'm washing dishes. He'll wake up on Sunday morning, very happy to cook wonderful eggs. You remember the eggs?
That you don't know how to cook.
That I don't, no, that I don't know how to cook as well as he does. No, I know how to cook the egg. But he's like, he'll wake up and he just wants to. He didn't want anyone awake at that time. Even if I'm awake, I should just be that side. Him is on his. But I was taught that you have to be talking to it. It's like, oh, man. Yes. So I felt like for me, the right time is when you're in it. Get the basics, like you said, be kind, love. But when the rubber hits the road, you're going to be kind to your husband the way he knows how you can be kind to him, the way you can be patient with him. You know, there are differences. Yes. Yeah, patience for some people is keep quiet. Patience for some people is don't talk about it. Yes. Patience for some people is don't even consider it. Yes. Others is give me 3 years. Others is give me 3 weeks. Others is give me 3 minutes. So patience, the description of patience under love for different people is different. So anyway.
I have taught Sunday school in different church spaces, and I will never forget this. I don't know how the conversation of marriage came up, but a certain girl whose parents were serving diligently in the church, whatever needed to be done, they did. In the face of everyone, she says, I do not want to get married. I hate marriage, no way. Was it modeled before her in the wrong way? Who knows? As far as we knew in the church, she had model parents who were in charge of the marriage ministry, I believe. Whoa. Their daughter said, I absolutely do not want. And she was of age to understand. She might have been 11 or 12 at the time. Yeah. When you say modeling principles, parents may believe they're modeling the right principle, but what they hear, the undertones are different. And therefore, when do we prepare for marriage? Instead of preparing for marriage, prepare yourself to be the best person you can be.
Oh, the best version of yourself. Yes.
Don't say, for me, I want to be an excellent wife. No, I want to be an excellent person. When Emmanuel saw me and he decided, I really want that person as a wife, I didn't even know he existed. But I was in my element. I was working at a radio station. I was assertive. I was a people making decisions, running the morning show. That's when he saw me. The organization he worked for used to partner with us. I did not remember him, but also in my position, I used to meet so many people anyway, almost 3 new people a day, and then I'd meet large audiences and I'd speak before them. Right. When he saw me, he said, that assertive character, that outgoing person, the one who is personable, that's the one I want.
Yeah.
For me, was I working to become a wife? No, I was working to become
the
Bev.
Best version of
and
yourself.
He said, I want Bev. That's why I'm wary when people change after they get married. The one he wanted was you. Right. Now, it takes a controlling, manipulative spouse, whether it's the man or the woman, to say, I will marry Barbara because she's from the right tribe or whatever it may be, but that kajanja of now, because she thinks she's earning more money than me, I will clip it. And that's when you have conflict. Because do you know what you want? You are not looking for Barbara, you're looking for a wife you can control, and there's a difference. Absolutely. But to understand that difference takes time. I was not fully prepared. But then I'm not a hopeless romantic. Maybe it would have helped if I was. Sometimes I think I am too practically minded. I need a bit more romance. So all my romance journeys into my poetry and my writing, all of it. I'm not a hopeless romantic, but I do know how to be. And on occasion, I will provide that. Right. And there's one thing I knew before I got married. I said, there is every possibility, no matter the contention I may face in my marriage, it's reconcilable. That's one thing I told myself from the moment I could understand when I was in my 20s, when I was in my... And I said, whatever, I really believe every situation is reconcilable, even though there are times I've been in a situation and I've said, what did I say again, Lord?
Is this one of them?
This one knocked me out of the park. This one really knocked me, and yet I came stoic and ready to. But marriage is like nothing else we have ever experienced. Why? Because you're bringing someone in fully developed as an adult. It's not a child whom you train. Train a child in the way he should go. Which verse says train your husband in the way he should go? You show me. Which verse tells the husband train? It says love.
Right.
It does not say train. You found them fully developed as an adult, mature-minded. That's why it's harder.
Right.
That's why it's harder. And you have to then make a decision that... And I believe there are certain situations that are unacceptable.
Right.
This constant physical abuse, we've heard of women who have died in physically abusive situations.
Right.
Absolutely unacceptable. I don't even want to go there. It's not a discussion we need to have. I just want to say, was I prepared enough? No way.
Absolutely.
And also, I didn't even want people to tell me about marriage. Leave it to yourself. Oh. Leave your discussions to yourself. Why? Because everyone was telling me the traditional thing. As if they didn't know who I was.
No, actually.
You know?
So, I mean, I have... So because, I attended your wedding.
Yes.
And the thing about Beverley is because of who she is, and she's out there, and she's loud, and everybody wanted to manage her for her husband, because her husband, Emmanuel, he's so peaceable. Yes. And Bev looks like someone who just comes, and you know those kids who come and just ruffle your feathers to see what you will do. Like that. Then they stand back and then what? Then they're like, then they fight you. The world can be going wrong. And then he sees a silver lining. Yes, that's it. And you're like, Emmanuel, there's no line. He's like, it's there. It's there. That's who he is. Yes. But you know that he has a Bev who will bring down the clouds and say, see the rain. It's raining. There is no silver lining. And even if it comes, it is far. You know? So it's nothing nice. Well, what do you have to say about that? You know? And so everybody was just like, but no, the Beverley. Will she manage 1 year? Will she manage? So everybody just came to talk to Bev to kind of manage her, to mold her in as little time as they had. Because remember, also Beverley, you didn't get married at 25 or at 22. Yes. You were 30. Yes. So when time was coming for her to as if get married, people were just like, will Bev get married? And she was like, no, when the time is right, I will get married. Yes. But for now, I am doing X, Y, Z. I'm conquering the world. Well, even when her husband, he was like, we are going to get married. We are going to enjoy. We're just like, Beverley, slowly. Everybody was just trying to manage her, and she was not having it. She was not having it, and I trust she's the last one laughing. She's just like, you were saying that we would not manage. Yes. Well, how many years later? 17.
17. Yes.
17 years later, they're like, anything?
It's true. As I said, I didn't work to become a wife. Work to become the best person you can. Yeah. Because you mentioned
like
it.
That.
Isn't it? Which wife? You said you were working towards a wife. Brian doesn't like soup.
Right.
And my mother, well-meaning, and so many people said, no, now you know this. Now, but do you know what? I said it before, when I'm happy, the house is happy. Yeah. And then you begin to learn each other's love languages. So there are times when we had to speak, what are your love? We got to know. And then, by the way, the problem is following formula and internet things. One time we got a sheet, and they said, these are good questions to ask each other to see how well we know each other. And these are the questions. So, Emma, what are my favorite flowers? Now what if he gets 2% and I get 1%? Does it mean? And so if you judge yourself based on that, Nedda. Because again, I am not that person. I like cactus. Do you know why? Because a cactus is strong and ugly, but it perseveres in the desert. Right. Roses wither.
No, but you know also what's interesting about your own journey? Yes. I realize that even when you're saying like, I wanted to become the best version of myself, there was still a period in your life in another marriage where you are looking for the best version of yourself still.
It's a never-ending journey.
I
It's a
haven't reached the best.
never-ending journey.
But I'm so glad that I'm still experiencing that within the marriage, that there's a possibility, because some people think there's a sense of arrivalism. Now that I'm a wife, what does being a wife mean? But do you know who you are? Before you want to become a wife,
Who are
do
you?
you know who you are?
That's true.
When
You
you
are
become
who?
who you are, believe me, all the wife and all the mothering will take shape.
Fall in line.
Will fall in line and take shape.
Right.
My dear. And so I think I prefer being the best woman.
Yeah.
And then we shall
The
the wife will be, Emma will see, the best version of Bev is the best I could have asked for.
Right.
You won't have to connote and say the wife. No, this Bev is the best. Don't say this wife of mine. No, I'm not qualified by being a wife. I'm qualified by being Bev. And that's whom Emma wanted. Yeah.
Okay.
Love it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So with all the wonderful and a bit scary experiences that we've had about marriage, about your marriages, and in 2024, where women have money, men have money, I mean, there are all sorts of solutions on the market, why would we still assume that everybody needs to get married? And it's a Ugandan thing. I feel like there are accolades for marriage. When you hear some people introduce themselves as Mrs. Mukasa, it's like she's carrying a medal as she's saying it. Or, you know, somebody starts to speak and says, I bring greetings from my wife. Before, you know, it's like there's an award for it.
Yes.
Right.
Why do we still assume that everybody needs to get married? Some people are introverts, some people are loners, some people are... What's the assumption and why is it there?
I've fallen victim of the need to be heroic and say, my husband, when I know I didn't need to mention it. There are times when it's important, so I have fallen victim of that because I felt, where's the ding-ding medal for being married? And yet I know that it's just a part of my journey, and God said, in the journey of your life, you're going to get married.
Right.
I am just following what God had already ordained. And besides, I know that there is no medal. Be the best version of who you are. It just so happens I'm a wife right now and I'm a mother. You see, that was part of my journey. There is no medal. Someone else's journey was something else, and they're also in their life's journey. So don't think yours is better. We're just heading in different directions. You're going to Tokyo today. You are going to Spain today. All right? Those are the destinations we're going to. You go to your wrong destination and you'll see. You have not carried the ingredients for.
Yeah.
And why do we assume? Because we want to control. You see, when you fall in line with what society or with what people expect or groups of people expect, then they control you. And people want to control because, one, they'll control you by saying, I told you so. You used to say you are single and empowered. Aren't you? What did we say? How else do they control you? These groups that they call the singles. We prayed for you to get married. 9 out of 10 of you are married. Well, that is good. Do you know it's a form of control? They're controlling you by saying, we prayed for you. So how are you doing? And then their business is now in your marriage.
Right.
You see, people pray so much for people to get married. But then why don't they continue the same prayers and fervents after the people are married and say, how are you doing genuinely?
Right.
Don't say, you see, Manuela, didn't we pray for you to get married? Don't you have a wonderful husband? No. If you're being genuine, continue praying and saying, Manuela, as fervently as, Manuela, we prayed. Now you got married. And
now you're saying it anyway.
Yes. You're praying
Now
and you
that
have
the
children.
child has come, I know things can be hard.
Yeah. Say, is there any other prayer? How have you been? If you're being genuine.
Right.
It's not an, pray consistently and say, are you blessed? And be genuine and say, marriage is hard. Don't assume because you prayed, now everything is perfect. No, say, Manuela, I know marriage can be hard. Barbara, marriage can be hard. I've been married for 38 years. So tell me, it's okay. I know you have plans. Barbara, you said you wanted to build 3 hotels. You haven't built them. Tell me, and that's genuine.
Right.
But some people are so presumptuous, they're so intrusive, so controlling. They want to control how you respond to situations. They assume that now you should be happy because they prayed for you.
Yeah, to get married.
Be happy, we prayed. And they don't want to really listen to, actually, I'm hurting right now in my marriage. We have come to a contention in this. They don't want to hear it. They're not being genuine.
Right.
And that's where the assumption comes, the need to control. And those are from people who have no idea who they are, or their lives are so miserable, or they lack self-awareness that now they want to place themselves in other people's.
Let's hold our
Yes.
drinks.
I know the drinks
Yes.
are
They're
boring.
Yes, no, because I've seen it so many in my own life when people try to control a situation, maybe because they had part to play, but it's disingenuous sometimes because do you really care? Are you listening to what I'm saying? I'm trying to tell you something about my heart. You keep interrupting me because that's not what you want to hear.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yes.
I'd never ever thought anybody wants to control my anything. Seeing as I want to be in control, I'm like, I am the one who decided to get married. You prayed for who? And I guess because I got married, quote unquote, at the right time, nobody was praying prayers for me, I guess, except my mom. But that said, I think that it's kind of like a rite of passage, especially in our society. I don't know why. And let me tell you, let me be honest, I'm having an internal battle with this particular question because I know that family is God's idea.
Yes.
I know that family is the DNA of any society, any economy. It's the SI unit of the world. Like, we exist because of family. Whether it was a broken one or not, it was a family unit. But then Paul in the Bible goes and says, by the way, if you can avoid getting married, run from that. Run. Avoid. Don't get married. But if you are so weak, like, brother, as we got married, we are weak. Wow. For somebody who wants to stand up and say, Mrs. Mukas, I'm just looking at her like you're the strongest weak person there is available according to the
Amongst
Bible.
the weak.
Among the weak. You are now, by the time you're getting a crown, you're like, but the weakness, I am the queen.
And it's okay.
I'm the leader of all of us, the weak ones. So I struggle internally, especially because I believe that I'm such a strong person. I was just like, you mean flesh did this to me? Like, wow, So I don't know at which point marriage became so, like, those of you who are married, wow. Yes. And yet, it is, you couldn't hold yourself. Your flesh was that strong. Interesting. Okay. So for me, in this conversation, I'm just like, I'll be quiet about it. Yes, I'm Mrs. Mulondo, but I don't hold it with such, I don't hold it in a place to make people feel that they are less than, because it's like even my own personal journey with God. I don't tell it to so many people, I don't, except when he asked me to, but I did not for a very long time because my belief has always been that, not my belief, people have always made us feel like when you're born again and when you're Christian, it means you're perfect. And I'm just like, absolutely not. For me, even if I'm so weak, my flesh is so strong that I need even help. I need someone to hold me, to help me to be kind. You who don't believe there is a God, who don't believe there is a Jesus, what should he call you? It means you can hold on your own. Me, I'm so weak. So I don't glory even in born again. I read the Bible. Actually, the Holy Spirit talks to me. Actually, it's me and the Holy Spirit's besties like this. In fact, if God came, he would. No, I just be feeling like I'm so weak.
You're so aware of yourself.
I'm so sick. Yes. I need so much help. I need a constant help right beside me to tell me move left, move right. I'm so weak. My life is not mine. I've given it over to someone. I said, hold. So I walk around knowing that my strength or who I am, even in the marriage, all of those things comes from another source. It's not me. So that's what I can glory in. I can glory in. But again, did you see my strong God?
Yes.
But me? No. I'm just like, no, I'm too weak. Too weak. Even to hold a marriage more than 2 years. I'm just like, that I ended at 2 years. Manuela Mulondo's ability ended at 2 years. At that point, I needed help. I dedicated, I said, this marriage, this man, these children, I give to you because I couldn't handle it. So I don't hold it. I don't walk around with, did you know that I'm Mrs. Mulo? No, I don't. Yeah.
You're holding your crown of weakness in glory.
I don't know. I'm just holding it in all manner of meekness.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that we are relational beings.
Right.
Naturally. Yeah. And one of the reasons why you will feel under pressure when you're not yet married,
Yes,
the pressure is coming from the inside. Yeah. You know, if you walked into a room and they said, Manuela, you don't drive a G-Wagon, so you don't belong. It probably won't even affect you because you don't believe that because you don't drive a G-Wagon, you don't belong in society. Right. But because we are relational beings and that need is deep within us, it will affect you when you sit amongst your aunties and they say, but Manuela, we are 35. Where is this going? Right. The pressure within you is the one that will disturb you. When you have only girl children,
yes,
and you meet people and they're like, you need a boy. If you don't feel like you need a boy,
it won't bother you.
It won't bother you. So the reason why we feel there's pressure is because it comes from the inside. After God created the woman, it is the only thing he said that this is a good thing. He had created so many other things, but after he created Eve for Adam, he said, oh wow, this is a good thing. So that means within the human beings, Eve has the need for Adam. Right. Adam has the need. So it doesn't matter how far you progress in life and how many other things you get in life. Right. That need is there. Right. How we manage it is different. We're all different.
Yes, yes.
Some people have found a way to say, at the right time, it will come.
Yes.
I'm not going to be under pressure, and if it doesn't come, it doesn't come.
Yes.
Does that negate the fact that the need is there? No.
So they fill that space in other ways.
They fill a space in other ways, and some of I don't even think it does because God put it there. It's just like the same way he puts the need for us to relate with other beings, is the same way there's a need to relate with him. So we are relational beings. When there's a gap when you're not relating with God, there's a gap you try to fill with so many other things, but nothing can fill it. Right. When you have that gap, you try to fill it with work, you're doing long hours, nice clothes, nice cars, but that gap is there, and you're still not going to fill it. Right. And then, like you said, it's a rite of passage. Right. So we're dating for 5 years. Where is this going? Right. I mean, it gets to a point and you're like, I feel like at some point you have to get there. Yes. Because after 5 years, you're living in different homes, I don't know what, then there's the need to sort of have that presence. Right. And I think one of the most powerful things about marriage is presence. Right. The fact that there's somebody else in the room with you, in the bed with you, in the house with you, doing life with you. Right. That's the most, I think, before we think of all the other things, procreation, I don't know what, partnership, presence.
I call it witnesses.
Witnesses?
Yeah, I call Brad my witness to my life. I say, if ever we reach heaven and I'm nowhere to be seen because I'm admiring the flowers, God should be able to call Brian and say, excuse me, the one who was married to her, come. Not even where is your wife? So on this day she was here. As a witness, you should be able to say, no, Bambi, God, no. On that day, Bambi, she didn't mean it like that. You know, so for me, presence is
witness. Even for those homes where the man comes in at 11 p.m. every night, midnight, because he's working or doing something and leaves the house by 5. Those hours he's in the house. Right. Or the fact that the family knows that he's coming back.
Yes.
Right. There's something that his presence changes.
Right.
Yeah.
And mothers.
And mothers
also,
too.
Yeah.
We need to recognize the presence. Sometimes we have defined what presence means for everyone. Right. And there's some people who say, oh my goodness, but he's traveling all the time. He's not there. And yet those who are there physically are not really present. Right. Because presence means you are extending yourself genuinely. You're not leaving out anything. You're being generous with your spirit, especially. Yeah. Meaning that even when you're away working or you're away on holiday, whatever it may be, you're still generously giving your spirit, and they know it. You're available. Right. They can rely on you. Right. Because someone may be in the room physically, but they won't rely on you. Right. They will say he's here, but have you ever, we've all experienced it when there's somebody in the midst and they're responsible for something. Let's say the HR is responsible for this, but that HR, let me go to the program assistant, because even though it's the HR's role, the program assistant will do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the HR is not present
Right.
to their role.
Right.
And therefore, your role may be this as a father or as a husband, but because you're not doing it, let me go to the eldest son,
Right.
he will do it.
Right.
And therefore, wherever you are in life, as a wife or as a husband, be present. May your spirit be generously there, that you can be relied on.
Right.
Because what does the word say about you're sending somebody who is unreliable? You're like an injury to my foot. When you rely on someone who is not reliable at all.
Right.
And we know we have that. There are even people we've stopped relying on because we know they're not dependable.
Yeah.
We know it.
You don't even call
We've given
them.
them so many chances. We know it. And maybe we ourselves have been unreliable to our spouses. We thought we were punishing them for something.
Right.
Or maybe they were unreliable to us.
Yeah.
And therefore, it's really be generous of your spirit
Right.
wherever you are.
Yeah. I really wanted to talk about that presence word. I don't know if that's the context in which you spoke. That's, I think, the right way to do it.
Yes.
And yet I feel like the way marriage works, even when someone is not present,
Physically?
like the way you shared,
Yes.
their existence does not even make sense.
Yes.
There's a comfort.
Yes,
Yes.
even if because you've seen marriages where the man comes in so late, 3 a.m., sleeps through the whole day, wakes up to go out and drink again. But she'll still wake up and go to church,
Yes.
or to a wedding, or to a funeral
The fact
as
that he was there.
Mrs.
Yes. Yes.
The fact that he existed as her partner. I kind of feel that when we talk about the right presence, where you give of yourself, someone might think that, oh, my husband is not present because he's not giving of himself. He exists. He's there. And the truth is, marriage recognizes that. I think marriage recognizes the existence of that person. Even when he has separated from you, right? And he's gone off, or your wife has gone off with another man. They're not present, not even physically, not even emotionally, but their existence, because you went into church.
It matters.
It matters in marriage. And I think that's one of the most painful things, because you get one half of the presence and the other half
Has been.
does not exist.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean that
It's not important.
it's not important that they're there. Anyway, that said, why does society feel that marriage is important?
Do you want to define society first? Was it you or you had a
Or she
definition of
defines society that adds a definition that makes me cringe.
We're
every
not
time.
bringing it back
We
here.
don't think so. But it's so truthful.
It
And I
is.
think you should share it, because there are certain people who didn't
Watch
hear
that
it. Episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
The definition she's talking about is that society is a collection of averages. There's an average way and expectations that we're supposed to live. And the minute you start to break away from the average, then society wants to bring you back down. To average. Yeah, so really the definition is a collection of averages.
And a
Maintain the
collection of
average.
mediocrity.
Thank you.
Ah, my God, it's such a painful definition.
I know.
And yes, indeed, one of the views of this collection of mediocrity, which also includes ourselves, is that people should be married.
Yes.
Why?
Well, I believe there are people who genuinely feel that when people get married, they're in a better space for themselves, and they realize dreams they would never have realized had they remained single. Amongst those are children, because there are people who strongly believe once you have children in a marriage, the blessings of the children will then give you. And most people who say get married will never stop there. They'll say get married, and then when you have the blessings of children, it's rare that those who wish you well in a marriage will stop at that. They'll always continue and say, may your children be blessed as well, when they're praying for you, when they're part of your life, from a single person to a... And so there are those who really mean well and say, no, it's just a lot of things that you'll enjoy. And even though you may be aware that, but this person's marriage is horrible. I've seen them crying. I've been in their house when there's so much tension. Are they being disingenuous? No. They genuinely believe that for you, even though you may have witnessed their tears, you've been in their car when they're not talking, you have seen their children running amok, they genuinely believe that if you step into that threshold of marriage, something powerful will work. They genuinely do. And then there are those who may feel that I'm going to be practical here, who genuinely feel, let's have a choice. Manuela, Barbara, marriage is a good thing, but it's up to you. Because the truth is, there are things that will be so difficult. Are you ready to compromise, Barbara? Are you ready to compromise? There are those who are just practical like that.
Right.
And so the pressure may be not for you to get married, but the pressure is more of be certain of the choice you make.
Right.
You see?
Right.
And so the choice you make, they're saying, if you get married, be married. If you're not, so whatever choice you make, that's still pressure on its own, isn't it? And then the other pressure may be for you to define marriage the way you want to. Right. And I have been, because I worked in women's NGOs, the definitions of marriage changed. And there was one who was cohabiting for 20 years and said, as far as I know, we're married.
We're married.
Because they had children together, twins, I believe. She's counseled many people. And so there's also that pressure for you to say, no, no, no. You define marriage the way you want. You know?
Yeah.
You define it.
That's a new one.
Cohabit,
That's a new
yes.
one, yes.
And so that's the pressure is, the pressure comes in those forms, and you have to decide either before it comes, whether or not you're going to, or to allow yourself to listen to those who have been there before, because they may have something wise to say, but who are you listening to? So are you listening to those who are in your Christian circles who pray, or are you listening to those who seem to have got it together? Or are you listening to the practical person who says, Papa, I've known you for a long time. So the choice is yours. You have to decide, but then again, sometimes we're not at that capacity where our brain is at the point of making the wisest decisions ever.
Right.
And so every day is a
different
compilation of choices, isn't it?
Right.
Compilation of different choices that lead to an ultimate act, I suppose.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the part of society that usually will apply pressure is the older generation.
Yeah.
They've seen, they've learned, they've understood the way this thing works.
Yes.
I remember the 2 years that Humphrey and I dated. There's a community of ladies that I pray with. It got to a point where I would enter and it's time for fellowship and I'm thinking, I'm not sitting with that one. I'm not sitting. Because the minute you sit down, hey, hi, Barbara, how are you? So when is the wedding? You know, I'm like, so I can't breathe. You know, have you said hello? Do you know if I had a puncture on my way here? No. But they continued to exert gentle, persistent pressure.
Yes.
And I laughed it off and I kept saying, time. Let's give it time. Because one, I didn't even feel offended because inside, in me, like I said, I didn't feel the pressure, the pressure to get married. But also, I knew it was coming from a good place. When we watch people who got married, and the Muslims do it a lot, they push their children to get married in their early 20s. Because they know once you get married, one, you're accountable to someone. So that means this notion of my life is my life. I can come back home at 3.
I can do as I want. Do me, do you.
I get my salary and by the 5th, it's done. I'm applying for a salary advance. So it sort of puts you in line to live responsibly. Some people might think it's control. They might look at it as control. But you're accountable, you're more responsible, and then you start to build better things for your life. You're able to sit down and think, now I have children, I need to build. However, before you have children, it's very easy for you to say, I don't have children, I can travel the world.
Yes.
I can be on the latest cruise and all the cruises available, and then you get to 45 and you have nothing to show for the years that you have worked. So I feel like the reason why society will exert some kind of pressure is because they've seen. Yeah. They've seen what it means for a woman to get married at, say, 48, and then she starts to want to have children. She will have, but the process is rigorous. Yes. Why go through that when you can get married at 23 and have children immediately? Right. Yeah? Why get so stuck in your ways that by the time you're going to live with someone, no. when I wake up in the morning, I don't talk for 2 hours. That's me. Because you're so stuck in your ways. And, okay, so now I want to say good morning. Like, no, wait until 9 o'clock.
You have 45 minutes to
go. When I come back in the evening, the remote is in my hand until I fall asleep. Because that's the way you've lived your life. So you sort of had to live with now. So society has seen. And they now know that let us guide this person. I remember getting so comfortable in the space of, I'm a single mom, I'm happy with my children, we can afford to live a good life. I'm all right.
Right.
Until a 60-year-old woman had the opportunity to sit with me and called me out of that comfort. She said, look, right now, your children are your companions. You have some, and by the way, you don't have a lot. You have some small money to allow you comforts here and there. Those children are going to move out of that home. They are going to leave you. And they may not even call you because they've moved on with their lives. You're in a house alone. She was going through that at that time. And she said, because I love you, I don't want you to go through what I'm going through. No, what I'm going through now, currently. She lives in a big, beautiful house. She had one child. She never thought to get married because, I mean, she had a good job. She had money. She was like, these men are going just to stress me. Now at 60, which man is going to marry her? But her son is now ready to get married. He has a fiancé, so half the time he's with his fiancé. He has no time for, so she's alone in the house, and she says, this is the time when my life has slowed down. And it's the best time to have a companion. To sit in the house and have some tea. We have no bills, we have no stress. But where is that partner? I remember driving home that day at 35 kilometers per hour. Do you know how slow that is?
Yes.
She had just called me out of a space of comfort. I was so uncomfortable because what she said was the truth. And as she spoke, I sort of projected into the future and saw myself at 60.
What a vision.
It did, because when she spelled out what she's going through now, I even felt pain in her voice. So sometimes society has seen what is waiting for you, and they don't want you to experience it.
Angie used to say a statement. She said, old age needs a friend.
Good.
Can we guarantee that
there will be
marriage
a friend?
will
No,
lead
we
to that
can't.
friendship?
Yeah.
But can we at least move one step in that direction?
But even when you see like people that are broken up and they were older, they were younger and then they broke up and then now they're older, they talk. Yes. They're still that friend. That's true. It might not be a relationship like that, but they're friends. And I've seen my mom. She's a single mom. And she's there. We're moving on with our lives. Now she's on my baby brother like this. You know, and we're like, no, you have to release him. So I can see where she was going with that. I mean, honestly, I think that's the only reason as to why society does pressure people into it. But also there are people who just pressure people into it so that they're not alone.
So that who's not alone?
So that misery loves company. Yeah, no. That's so unfair.
Yeah, just like, you like
There's someone who said that everybody deserves the life sentence of marriage before they die. Like, let's all suffer, please.
That's a new one. That's a twist. That is such a twist.
You've seen it with people like they know you shouldn't get married to that guy.
Oh, the wrong person.
Yeah, they say
marriage in general.
No. But there are those. But this.
Yeah, human beings are very complex. You just can't figure out everyone.
They're like, I'm having a hard time. Yes. When I say you, Barbara, you're having a good time. When you come,
you have no one
to stress you. And a man who comes in, Pananga, that man he's so good for you. I think he'll work. Have you thought of getting married? You need to lower your standard. Calm down. Yes. So that now, when they have a problem, you can relate. You're like, Munanga, even me. Well, so there are those people. Again, it was just for variety of us.
You just wanted to say something.
That variety.
But you people.
But I do understand what you mean.
Yeah, there are those people, and they don't know it. They don't know that it's something that they're doing inadvertently. Yes. That they're going through a hard marriage. And it would be nice if they're a really good friend who left the marriage and now seems happier can just get back in. Because when she was suffering, we
was
were
good.
holding
We
hands.
understood
It was
each other.
We were
relatable.
relatable. But now she has jumped out. Me, I can't jump out.
I remember
fresh.
getting a
That
phone
is
call
really-
from one morning, like about 6:45 in the morning. So I pick, a friend of mine is calling me. I said, is there an emergency? No. Are you in an ambulance? No. Why are you calling me at 6:45 in the morning? She's like, no. I just thought about you. And I was like, now Barbara is there in her bed. There's no man to stress her. There's no man to annoy her. There's no...
Oh, that's, you saw it like that?
I just called you to say that you are so lucky.
Lucky me.
It was so funny. I'm like, what has he possibly done this time?
too.
Yes.
Because she called at 6:45, this was pretty early.
You have to have an emergency
Any-
to call
of
me at that
course,
time,
yes,
honestly.
yes.
Yes, not story time. So I picked it and I'm
Yes.
like, are you okay? Is it... She's like, no, I was just here in my bed thinking
She was on her
about
phone
you.
from 5. You know what that means?
Yeah.
She was on her phone from 5.
That's why
6:45.
she was like, what could he have possibly
6:45 is
It
polite
was
enough for
so,
me to
like,
call.
it was so funny. I was like, what has he done? Now, I was ready for a soapy story because only that qualifies a phone call at 6:45.
Exactly.
Wow.
When then is the right time for marriage? If the decision has been made by either the man or the woman, when is the right time? When do you know we've gone through everything? This is it. This is it. This is the time. Is it considered by age? Is it considered by your available resources? Is it considered by the fact you appreciate each other's future plans?
Right.
When is it?
Because the truth is, society has made it feel it's, you know, again, there's a way things are done. Yes. You're born, then you're in your parents' home, then you go to primary school, then you go to secondary school, then after secondary, you go to university, then just when you've started to work, this is around the age 24, 25, 26. Anyway, anytime before 30, between 25 and 30.
30 is the cut
perfect.
off.
30, after 30, people start. Even 29 these days, people are just like...
People are a bit jittery. You go
Yeah,
home
because
and they're
like,
asking, so...
because by the time they're doing planning meetings, you will have clocked 30. So by 29, people are like... So it's like you have a 3-year gap between 25 and 28.
Okay.
That's kind of like the window. And that's the window I got married in. Because for me, I felt it was that time. I truly believe that if I didn't get married, I would be a nuisance to society.
With your lovely legs.
With yes, with my lovely legs, I think I would have been a nuisance. I think that if I had not gotten married, I would not have accountability. I think you talked about that. I would probably be diseased. No, honest, like now we're speaking honest truth. Yes. I think God saved me. Marriage saved me. That's why I say, like I keep thinking, well, oh, I'm so strong, blah, 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 but maybe not. Yes. Marriage did something for me. Marriage was a good thing for me. But I say God saved me with marriage because for me, the good thing was that in that time frame, that 25 to 30, I met Brian. And immediately I met him, I knew he was the one. Yeah? I had no question about it. I had the voice so clearly tell me, that's going to be your husband. And meanwhile, he was down on a bus looking like a turn boy. Right. Looking like a turn boy. And yet, then when he met, and I remember when he met everybody in my life, everybody was behind Brian, including you, Beverly. You loved him to like, you knew him as a child. You're just like, he's the one. So I feel that for me, we know how the Bible says, the lines have fallen for me in pleasant places. That's what happened for me. And for me, I think God was protecting me from who I had the potential. Oh, yes. Oh, and in a bad way. who the devil had come to attack, who the devil could have come for. I truly think that God said, this one, I need to save her from herself. And so I will give her a man. I will just let all the lines fall for her in pleasant places at a good time. She's just finished school. She's just starting to experience money. Amaduga gakayingira. People are, bars are open. All of these things are open. Men are recognizing, they're seeing her there. She's so beautiful. He's like, this one, I need to catch her and catch her now. So when you ask me what's the right time, I will always go back to that place. God will tell you the right time for you. Because people are different. And God wants to use you in a different... If you go by what the society says, then you will marry a wrong person. And that has happened to so many people. Where because they say between the ages of this you should be getting married, you get married to the wrong person. And so I've always been in a place where we know the scripture that says, I am the vine and you are the branches. Remain in me and I in you. Yes. I've never understood that passage so well as I have in my life right now. That you need to be so in him and him so in you that when the question of marriage comes, you're able to hear, you're able to see, you're able to feel. You have that, you know that he's the one. So even when a guy comes, when your eggs are roasting, you know, like and he's not the one, you can still say no. Yes.
And to just continue with that, I believe that our life is in seasons.
Yes.
We live our lives in seasons and times, and things happen.
Yeah.
When the right time comes, there's a quickening.
Oh, you're right. Yes.
So we dated for 2 years with Humphrey, and there was pressure from different
Everywhere.
points. He also got phone calls.
Yes.
You're dating a decent girl. Do the right thing and marry her. And he'd just say, rest. It's okay. Yeah, and he'd tell me and we'd laugh about it. But I just kept saying, when the time comes, the time will come. And I remember the proposal came in December. By February, we had done the kuchala, the kwanjula, and the wedding. Everything was done. Even we didn't understand the speed at which it was happening. And yet for the 2 years, it was dragging.
Yes.
It was, these guys are just dating and enjoying, time with each other and everything. It looked like we were doing nothing. But when the door opened, and for me, it's so important to understand and to feel when the door has come, when the season has come. Who is controlling your life? Who is your compass and who is your navigation system? Because you want to know the season. If you get married before the door opens, you hit a wall. It's a revolving door.
Right. Ooh.
It's a revolving door. So that door comes for you to become an entrepreneur. You don't. You remain employed. It moves. It will come back, but we don't know. Maybe 30 years from when it has. The door for marriage comes. Do you know? Can you sense it? Have you heard? So who is telling you turn right, turn left? Who is your navigation system? I feel like for us, when that time came, the proposal came, we visited my parents, there was the kwanjula, there was the wedding, and we're done. Just like that. One day you're single, the next day you're married.
Yes.
But there's a certain quickening and everything falls in place very quickly.
Right.
Somehow, my siblings who don't live here were in the country. Somehow, my mom is ready. So, like, everything just falls in place at that time.
That's usually a good indicator.
Yes.
I think we should be able to say that.
Yes.
That usually it's a very good indicator when the time is right.
Yes.
Everything just falls into place. I'm not forged. Because we know when it's forged.
Yes.
We know it deep down inside. We're like,
Although, will there be a struggle? There will be struggles here and there.
Okay.
It's not ease. So we're not talking about ease. No. There will be struggles here and there for different things and for different reasons.
so how do you know? You know, because you're talking about that time, and I guess I'm happy about. I'm excited about the topic. when do you know that, yes, actually, the door has opened now?
Well, it's not just one door, is it? There have been a series of doors or a series of entries that just widened. So the first entry was you peeped with one eye. The next one was your ears, you see? Yeah. So you saw first, and then you listened to the lady who said, listen. You saw with your eyes. And then another one was the door. You saw your feet moving in a certain direction. And then, so it was, the door was, it didn't just open at once.
No.
There were indicators. So the crack opened little by little. First up with your eyes and your ears, and then all your senses became aware. And then when it finally opened, your senses were already aware. They had been working towards that grand entrance, and you walked into it. Can you imagine when all your senses have been aware and triggered, and then you walk away? All the indicators, and then you, because sometimes we do. God has started giving signs, and then when it opens, we're like, was it really from God? Are we panicky? Are we nervous? Maybe then we need our counselors or our team, or what that person who's a prayer partner, who to say, Beverley, you're panicking. It's okay. This is where I come in. You've got this. Are you sure? Am I? Because panic does happen. But there's someone there who will tell you, Beverley, don't worry. I am here for the time. Hold my hand. We're going through the door.
Yeah. I would say that for me, usually it's peace.
Yeah.
In the storm.
Yeah.
When there's peace, I don't know how to explain. There's a time when, you know, especially this is a very important decision, who you spend the rest of your life with. It's probably the second most important decision, Pastor Gary used to say. And I've been telling the young girls in my mentorship that you know that the gate has opened when things start to fall in place without your
effort. Yes.
You're not aligning
You're
them
not trying
yourself.
to align them. You're not trying to make him Christian enough. You're not trying to make yourself ready enough. Like, no, you just find that it's like a table has been laid before you. Again, are there struggles? Yes. But there's calm. There's a peace.
In the midst.
There's a peace in the midst of the storm.
Absolutely.
And I would say that even like now for Brian, I remember telling him, we saw that door, I closed it with cement. I said, please, hold on, you know. But then, so when the door opened, I'll tell you for a fact that everybody absolutely loved Brian. Then my mom comes and goes and says, no. She meets him and says, I don't think so, right? And while all my friends had been laid on the table like this and it seemed like the right thing, I didn't try to go and talk to my mom and tell her, but mommy, why would you say that about Brian? Da, 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 da. I remember my mom showing me what she felt was not right about Brian. I talked to him about it, and I remember I actually called off the wedding at that point, right? And then I went away. My mom came back. She's like, no, I went back to God. That was my flesh speaking. That was my flesh. God, from where I sit in the office of your mother, I have a yes, and I'm confident about it. It fell again, but I had so much peace. Even when I said, you know, my mom is such an important part of my life. I need her blessing. I cannot move into the... Thank God all my friends have said yes. They are going to fall behind us. They are going to walk with us. But if I don't have my mom's blessing, I can't do this.
Yes.
But I had so much peace.
About it.
God himself is on... She blessed us so fast, so quick, and sent us off so fast out of her home. Because I was like, now that I know the truth, keeping you here any longer brings me to sin. Keeping you here any longer makes me sin. Get out of my house. I bless you. I collect all the blessing. Go. Get out of my home. You know. So that's how I really wanted you to be able to like share, or for us to be able to share with the ladies, because they'll ask.
Yes. When is the right time?
When is it? What? Okay. We've understood that time. But now when I've reached, I'm now 45.
Yes.
I've met the guy. How do I know?
How do you know
that it's the right time? Yeah.
You've got such powerful experiences. And I know without a doubt lives have changed. There is no way anyone's life will remain the same knowing that Barbara shared what she had, you've shared what you shared. I know I've always been a strong personality. And I am so aware that there's some people who approach me and they're afraid of asking me something because they said, how will she react? Even when I am not overtly being maybe stern in any way or strict in any way, I'm just aware of it. Sometimes I'm like, how do I shake this off? Right. I didn't know that one of my indicators was, but is there any man who is strong enough even to ask me, the strong Beverley, for my hand in marriage? Ha! I will see that person. And while Emma is the complete opposite of me, he was the one who asked. Right. And for me, I said, do you know, he's the one who slayed. There were so many nights, but he is the one who said, I am going to go through this jungle. Brave! The others are too weak to slay the dragon. I'm going to slay the dragon, which is asking the question. Right. When you see him, he may not seem, he's the least temperamental of all, but he was the one who slayed the dragon. I often ask myself, I said, this is a strong person, yes, because I am a strong person. Right. Now, all the other seemingly strong people were too weak. And you know how I knew? Because of my personality. Sometimes I'm not even aware that people like me or are attracted to me. I really just don't know. It's my matron who said, Beverley, do you know how many people you're disappointed? I'm like, who? Do you know a person called this? I genuinely did. I told you, Emma liked me. I didn't even know. He said, I liked you. And I said, I didn't even know you existed. And then she said, so many people. Interestingly, the day I was sending out invitations for my Kwanjula, someone on a chat, because those days there was Gmail chat, said, Beverley, I'm so in love with you. And this, I said, huh?
The ship has sailed.
Yes, I was like, I had no idea that there was, I genuinely did not know because of who I am. But then Emma slayed the dragon. Do you know how important it is for a woman to know that? Because for me, I said, the person who is strong and brave enough, where's that man going to come from? And for me, I'm open. I said, whether he's from Swaziland, Sweden, India, Australia, Germany, Uganda, that's how open-minded I am. Sometimes it's maybe, so many people were surprised that I even married a Ugandan, leave alone an African. They said, Beverley, even married a Ugandan. Her personality, we did not think it's only a European man who would have managed her. Only an American. Her personality. And then those same people say, but you know, you're still the same person. Right. You're still creative and energetic. Another indicator, there was no way I was going to compromise who I am. Yes. Right. Because marriage is not going to make me who I am. God has already decided I'm going to be this. It just happens marriage is part of my journey. Right. Wife is not my identity. My identity is who I am in God. Right. Wife happens to be part, and that's something I was so aware of. There was no way in anything I choose to do, I'm not going to compromise who I am, where I'm going. I'm so aware of who I am, where I'm going in God. And it's one of the discussions we had. I said, Emma, you know I want to study further. I'm a poet, I'm creative, I love to travel the world. Anyone who had dared imply that there is no woman of mine who is going to be a career woman, that was a no-no. I wouldn't even have the discussion, and I can sense it immediately. I remember when I was at my career university, and there was a gentleman who said, for me, my wife must kneel all the time. She will not talk when I am talking. She will not offer her opinion. And I looked at my aghast. I did not believe that there were people who were in university who thought like that. Right. But now that I've been married for a number of years, I've seen it happen to my friends and acquaintances. I've seen that, and I think, my goodness. And I'll tell you this, Emma is the one person I've been myself more than with anyone. He knows the light, he knows the darkness. He knows what I'm saying when I am quiet. And for me, that's important. Right. He knows me so well, we don't have to speak. Right. And because I may not give of who I am freely with him, what am I going to pretend? What? Right. And I so enjoy that in the marriage, I'm able to be who I am. That also means that when there's a challenge, I will also cross on that call of fire and be able to speak about it. Or in the silence, he will know, there's a storm brewing. But for me, it's remaining who I am so that I can continue to be what God wants me to be. Right. And it just so happens that in my marriage, I can blissfully continue that. And I thank God that Emma was that person.
I think marriage is such an eternal commitment.
Yeah.
It's so sad if you go in not who you are.
Yes.
It's even the person
It's not
who you're with,
sustainable.
it's not
You can't
sustainable.
sustain it.
It's like going into a prison. And every time you hear people say, "Oh, marriage is a prison," many times you find that they're not themselves anymore.
And it's not to say we haven't faced challenges, of course
No, we
have.
felt it,
but we're just
have
aware,
you ever felt
but
like,
we are ourselves.
But have you ever felt like you're in a prison?
No,
because
yeah.
you're still
Yes.
who you are. And yes, many times women want to change who they are to fit the bill of who they hope their husband will be. And I think that's one of the things that if I was to give anyone any marriage advice, like right now, and say off the cuff, I'll just say exactly what you said. Do your best to stay the woman he fell in love with. Yes. Now, if you started and you forged, that's a bit hard. But ensure that the person who falls in love with you falls in love with the real, authentic you. So that when you enter the marriage, any feedback they give you, any fight you have with them, makes you a better version of yourself. As opposed to going in,
they don't know which version they're talking to. They're like, which version is this today?
Or you're trying to improve a version you don't even know.
You don't even know.
How do we do this?
What are we working with here?
Yeah.
Thank you. Ladies, always a delight, always a joy. When you write your books on marriage, because I'm going to demand it.
No.
The society has demanded it. You know the society that's giving you pressure? I am putting these two ladies under pressure to write books. Not because every lady has advice for people, no, because I believe their journeys are so important. And may you be given more spaces to share. I believe that the space that you have should be increased to so many people. Not because you're right, but you have a genuine heart to share and hopefully improve another person's situation. Yes, and thank you so much. Thank you, dear husbands. Is that okay for me to say that?
Right.
This has been wonderful. We really love you. All the time you watch Bump Love, we are grateful. You have no idea how. It's been wonderful listening to Barbara's journey, to Manuela's journey. Bump Love is about us. It's about you, the women, the men in our lives, marriage, parenting. And today, the one of marriage, it doesn't start the day you put your ring on. It starts from when you have envisioned the idea of union with a partner. That's when the idea of marriage manifests, and then it grows into something beautiful. Sometimes it's monstrous. You manage it, and may God guide you as you keep on making those decisions. If you're single, if you're in marriage, let God continue guiding you and blessing you, as He's done with us. He continues guiding us. He gives us the answers, and we hope that we'll continue sharing with you. Thank you so much. As always, like, share on all our social media channels. Let us know what you think. Let's continue the conversation. And to our different glam squads, just look at this glamour. We didn't wake up like this. No, there was a team behind us. Tina Browse, thank you so much. Zuri Luxury Hair and Makeup. You are phenomenal. Thank you. Thank you, Sununu Effect. I mean, look, the effect that you've had on us, continual. Cadia Fashion, Arija Fashion. All of this ensemble is because of them, and we're so grateful. We extend appreciation, and as always, our love goes right back to you. Our listeners, our comrades, our colleagues, our friends. Thank you for being part of this journey, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.